Hello, and welcome to A Producer's Life in Uganda. How is everyone doing today? So, I would like to. Oh, I've got some feedback there. So, today, really, I'd like to just come on and talk about life, talk about life's issues, and share your experiences so that I can learn from your experiences and maybe you can learn from mine. So, if you have any topics or life experiences that you've been through that you'd like to share and for us to discuss, then go ahead and type it in the comment section, and then we'll be able to go from there. Also, if you have a Google email address and you have Google Hangouts, then send me your email and I will get you into the chat to speak and discuss as well. So that is the intention for that's the intention for today's live. It's for you to share your stories, share your life experiences so that we can discuss different topics and share our life experiences and learn from one another. So if you have any issues, or if you have any life circumstances that you've been through that maybe you're still struggling with or you've overcome, then share them in the chat so that we can discuss them. And if you'd like to come on board and actually talk as well, then also put your email in the chat box so that I can invite you into the Google Hangouts to talk. So that's what we will be doing today. And it seems like I might have to move closer to my internet because it's telling me that the rate is not so good, which means that you might not be hearing me clearly or whatever. So let me see if I can move position and get a better signal. Hopefully this is better. I might have to go inside. I hope I don't have to go inside because it's nice and cool out here. Or if it's distorted or if you can't hear me clearly, then let me know in the chat so that I can do something about it. But I've moved closer to where my internet is. I'm actually outside of the house and the internet's inside, so that could be affecting it, but we'll see. So for today, what I'd like to do is talk about life experiences, trials that people have been through, things that people have overcome, so that we can learn from each other and maybe talk through some life issues. Could be positive, could be so-called negative. I don't think a lot of things that we look at as negative, for that moment in time, yes, they seem negative and it doesn't feel nice. But then if we take the time to stop and reflect, we can always pull something from it. We can always learn something from a difficult situation. So by learning from other people as well, that can help us. If we learn from other people's mistakes, other people's successes, we can add something to the value of our life. And by sharing your mistakes, your successes, your triumphs, then you can help other people grow as well. So let's come and share. Let's come and discuss. I'm just trying to relocate everything back into the house because I think I'll have better connection in the house. So I've not managed to look at the chat yet. I can see, shows me that there's one person in the room, but no one's spoken yet, so I don't know who it is. So let's see. I'm just going to put a message. Okay. So someone posted on a WhatsApp group about a gentleman who committed suicide recently. And I believe this person was a YouTube gamer, and they might have been attributing his death to the gaming industry and the gaming world. But somebody just made a comment and said, that they could have had mental health issues before the whole gaming thing. And sometimes we want to sort of blame the gaming, but there could have been something underlying there already. And I just felt like I felt like I needed to comment on that because I totally agreed with that sentiment. But then the overall sort of, I would say, thing that I wanted to mention was that we need to be there to support each other. And as difficult as it might seem, or difficult as it might be, then it's hard for those of us who are trying to support someone to know what to say or what to do or how to support them. But being there to listen, ask questions, and make yourself available so that they know that if they want to talk and if they're ready to talk, that you're there, then that, I think, is one step that can help. Because sometimes we feel that if someone's going through a rough patch or they're having mental health issues, that you don't want to talk about it, or you think that talking about it to the person will cause them to be suicidal or will cause them to do something, and then will cause them to do something. But in reality, for most situations, talking about it is better. It's better to actually talk to the person about it. That will allow them to reflect on their thoughts and to know that they're not alone as well. Okay, so I know it's very late in Uganda. It is, because it's like, 14 minutes past 9 now? So 14 minutes past 11 in Uganda. So it's understandable if people are fast asleep. Totally understandable if people are fast asleep. But what I shall do is I will also share this on another link. On WhatsApp. Yeah, so let me get myself comfy here. Tonight is going to be a chill out night tonight. Myself and my husband, we're going to take some time out and just watch a movie, a funny movie. The kids are in bed right now, and so we're going to take the opportunity afterwards to be able to do that. But since my husband's just having a nice rest. Hi, MD90. Nice profile pic. And I actually saw your thumbnail today. You had MD90 on your t-shirt and you had two girls beside you. So I need to get around to watching that. because I was quite intrigued. I was like, what's going on there? So that's on my to-do list. I was just sharing that the importance of learning from each other's lives and life experiences, whether positive or negative. And that even if people have, a positive experience, because sometimes we always think, it has to be something bad and then we can learn from it. But actually, even if somebody has a positive experience, we can learn from that by looking at how they were able to make the experience positive. What can we learn from it so that we have positive experience? Just clickbaiting it. Well, it would have worked if I didn't have the kids distracting me and trying to do things. Well, not distracting me, but trying to get my attention. It would have worked if I was just, had totally 24 hours me time. But that's not the case. Oh, it was a live stream. But you just used that image as the. Hold on a second. Are you sure it was? Okay, maybe I saw it after it went live because it didn't say live when I saw it. Yeah, it didn't say live when I saw it, which means because usually if I see something live and I'm connected to that person, I would usually jump in anyway, but it didn't say live. Yeah, so we can all learn from each other's experiences, and talking helps us to broaden our horizons, especially if we're listening to other perspectives. If we're listening to people that have maybe different views to us, or they have experienced something that we haven't experienced, and they talk about it, we listen to it, and we come from that place of being able to absorb and take something away from what they've said, then we can learn a lot from each other. So is there anything that any life gems or life experiences, things in life that you'd want to pass on to others? MD90, what would you say in life you have learned? Because I'm always keen on learning from others. If there was one thing you could pass on to the human race or people, what would you say is the one thing in life that has helped you or that you've learned, or, maybe not just the one thing, but what's a thing that really helps you to live life in a way that's productive for you and for others? Mm. So you've learned that culture is very diverse and it's always important to have an open mind. Wow, I think that is so true. So, so true. My father-in-law, because I'm half Ghanaian. My mum was Ghanaian. My dad was Nigerian. They've both passed away. My husband's Ugandan, right? And I was born and I was raised in England. So what you've just said there is spot on. And my father-in-law, who's Ugandan, always, when he came over to stay with us, he stayed with us for like 2-3 months at one stage, and then another time he stayed for a while again. And he always talks about cross culture, because obviously I've got like Nigerian roots and then I've got British roots as well. So, and my husband's Ugandan, spent university here, but you know what I mean? He was like born in Uganda and stayed there till he was a teenager. So he always talks about cross culture, and it's very, very key, as you say, to be open minded and to try and understand why someone is doing something, not just, oh, I don't like what they're doing because that's not how I was raised, but it's a question of why are they doing what they're doing? What's the reason behind what they're doing? And what has influenced what they're doing? Yes, I have been to Africa. Okay, catch you in a bit. I'll just keep on talking to myself, just in case anyone listens to this afterwards. Oh, actually, it says there are 4 people in here. I thought it was just you yourself. I thought it was just you and me, MD90. So, yes, I have been to Africa. I have been to Uganda, and I've just arrived from Uganda a few days ago. I've been to Nigeria. I think when I was a baby, I might have gone to Ghana, but I haven't been to Ghana as an adult, and that's one thing that I really want to do. And thank goodness now I have someone in Ghana that I can go and visit, Ni Ai. So that would be quite nice. But yes, I think the fact that you can appreciate that somebody has different values to you without necessarily jumping in and judging them for their values, it's a good quality to have, because there is diversity out there. You know, as you've said, culture is diverse, and it's important to be open-minded. Remember that we pick up our values from childhood. You know, they say nature or nurture. You know, from the time that you're born, you're being influenced by the foods you eat, the tastes you have, the sounds you hear, the smells, the way people do things. All of that shapes who you are at this point in time. And it's only because you were born where you were born that you believe what you believe, and that you know, do things the way you do things. That's the only reason, is where you were born. And if you were born somewhere totally different, then you would be a totally different person, in the sense that you would have different cultures, you would have different mannerisms, maybe different ways of doing things, maybe taking your shoes off before you go in the house, or those sorts of things. So so it's very good to actually acknowledge that, because if you come in from the perspective of, oh, my way is best and my way is the only way and everybody else is uncultured, you know, or what they're doing is wrong or bad, without taking the time to stop and think, why are they doing what they're doing? What's the reason behind what they're doing? Then it really, really stops you from growing as a person, I believe. And you miss the opportunity to learn from others, because there's so much out there that we are closed off to because of the way we think. You know, I'm not going to, you know, for example, if you say, oh, I'm not going to go to that neighborhood because they are X, Y, or Z, then you miss out on those life connections or those life experiences that you wouldn't have, that you're not going to get, because you have that prejudicial view of that place. Now, of course, life teaches us to protect ourselves, to guard ourselves, to, you know, keep ourselves from harm, what we believe to be harm. But then at the same time, we need to really keep on judging ourselves to say, are my fears founded? A lot of the reasons why we prevent ourselves from doing things is because of fear. Are my fears founded? Where has that come from? If you have that reflective mindset where you can stop to think about, why am I scared about this? Really try and look at it analytically, and then make the decision based on that, rather than your gut instincts of, oh, I'm scared, so I'm not going to do it. Then you might be able to open yourself to some really great life experiences. So if anybody has Google Hangouts, or Google Hangouts and an email address, then do feel free to put your email in. I will send you a link so that we can have sort of a conversation as well. And I can ask questions and pull out some life truths, because I believe everybody has gems within them. And you just need to speak to people to find out what those gems are. So come in and chat. But yeah, just from my personal experience, I think I was sharing the story. I did a video with my father-in-law while I was in Uganda on Father's Day, asking him to share about his life experiences and what he has learned from life. Because one thing that I really value is I really value the older, inverted commas, generation, people who have been through life and they have, really good treasures, things that we can learn from, or things that I can learn from. And it's not to say that people that are older have more to give, because even a person who is younger has a lot of wealth and knowledge and experience that they can share and teach the older generation. But there's something about people that have lived life and gone through different genres and different time frames in life that is quite nice to capture some of that history. For example, my father-in-law was in Germany when, the Berlin Wall was still there, when you had communism, and he was telling me the stories about when he had to cross over. He was flying over to Berlin or somewhere, and he had some CDs with him, and they weren't allowed to take in certain music and things like that. And he almost got into a lot of trouble because of that. So it's interesting now looking at how life is nowadays in certain parts of the world and how things have changed as well. But you still get people who have those sentiments and who have experienced those things in their life, and then they meet a German person and all those feelings come flooding back. And they will treat that person, or a German person meeting maybe a black person or whatever, they'll treat that person with all those emotions and the historical emotions that they have based on what they experienced in the past, rather than what that person is offering them there and then. And to be honest, it's natural, isn't it? There's no point saying, oh, don't judge people. That doesn't work. When you say, oh, don't judge people, every single person on this planet judges. That's how we live life. That's how we assess whether something's dangerous, good, bad, and when it's all based on our values. But the key is not just judging, but it's questioning yourselves as to why you are having that view of the person. Because that's all prejudice is. You're just prejudging the person without the person showing you what they are really made of. And you will always do that. But then having that barrier, or having that check, I would say, having that filter or that check in your mind that allows you to always question yourself, always ask yourself, why is it that I'm thinking of this person in this particular way? That helps you, or that can help you to open up your mind so that the person can pleasantly surprise you. And you can go into a deeper relationship, not based on what you expect of them, but based on what they are giving you there and then. So yeah, type in the comment box anything. So MD90 shared his tip for life, which was that he's learned that culture is very diverse and it's always important to have an open mind. So anyone in the chat room, just type in your lessons for life or your tips for life, and we can talk about that as well. Because I could talk about sort of values and prejudice till the cows come home. Because I find it very interesting, and I have to reflect myself. I have to reflect on the things that I do myself, and I have to realize that there's so much that has influenced my journey and my life in life so far, and how to relate to other people in a way that is productive and can allow me to grow. We only have one life, so why not keep on learning through that life, right? So I think I've got about 20 minutes till it's movie time. Movie time. And so there's one thing that I really love, and I love sharing this with anybody I come in contact with. I love sharing this model. There's a model. It's called Batari's box, right? And this is how Batari's box goes. It starts at the top, which is your attitude. So let me say me. Okay, my attitude affects my behavior, which affects your attitude, which affects your behavior. Now, with every model or cycle or whatever, there are exceptions to the rule, but that's just the general idea. My attitude affects my behavior, which affects your attitude, which affects your behavior. And the example that there's so many examples you can give, and I'm sure you have all experienced something that sort of reflects this. But my attitude, for example, towards maybe the police, for example. Now, I worked for the police, so we use this model a lot. But let's say if my attitude to the police was bad, I hate the police because they've done this and they've done that, and there's oppression and whatnot. And as a result of that, it will affect my behavior, right? So whenever I see a police officer coming down the road, then I'm already getting stirred up. I'm already like, oh, they better not stop me. How, I'm already sort of like building myself up to that point of I'm ready for you. If you try and mess with me, you're going to get it, right? As a result of that, it will even affect my physical body mannerisms. I might, walk in a certain way or my face might change into I might start displaying certain mannerisms. As a result of that, then the officer walking towards me is picking up on those non-verbal signs, right? And then what happens? Their attitude is now, this is lady coming towards me who's looking, inverted commas, aggressive. I better get myself ready for action. Then they might put their hand on their waist belt where their baton is or whatever. As a result of that, what happens? I get more agitated. Oh my, do you see the way they just did? You get the cycle, right? Now, how can I disrupt that negative cycle? Because my attitude towards the police officer will always be my attitude at that point in time based on my life experiences, etc. So my attitude would be that, yes, the police have done this to me, they've done that to me, X, Y, and Z. But if I'm aware of that, if I'm aware of my prejudices, if I'm aware of my values and my views of certain things, then I can check myself and choose not to allow that to affect my behavior to start off with, right? So when the officer's coming towards me, instead of being like, oh, they better not, and then start changing my mannerism, I could choose to just carry on as I am, or even do the opposite, smile, have an open body language, walk with just normal confidence rather than sort of maybe a strut, just walk normally towards them, smile, maybe even greet them. Hello, officer. How are you doing today? Now, in both cases, my attitudes still stayed the same, right? But in the second scenario, as a result of the awareness that I had of maybe the prejudice or whatever involved with the police and the past, as a result of that, that person, that individual chose to switch it up, chose to do something in order to have a more positive experience. Now, as a result of smiling and saying, oh, hello, good afternoon, then what happens to the officer? Also, their attitude changes. Oh, my goodness, this is the first time that, a person like this, for example, has been friendly or, even just given me the light of day. Usually they just walk past and hiss or give me the up and down look. And then maybe they then engage with that person that they're walking past and say, oh, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing? Yeah, it's a lovely day. Weather's nice. You know how the British love talking about weather, and the weather's good. And then you could actually then have a positive encounter with that particular officer, let's say, for example. Now, this is all hypothetical at this point in time, but I have been through myself personal situations that I've chosen to do things differently, and the outcome has been positive because I've been aware of my attitudes and the results of my attitudes on my behavior and the other person's behavior. So it really, really does work. But it starts with you being aware of your attitudes and the behaviors that you present as a result of your attitudes. And when we're aware of that, we can change within ourselves, because there's no guarantee that you'll change anybody. Let's not fool ourselves that we're going to change the world. Yes, you could change the world, but it starts with changing yourself, right? So if we change ourselves, then there's a possibility that others would be willing to go on that journey of self-exploration and change themselves. Snowball effect, you get my point. But if you're just sitting down and waiting for the rest of the world to change, and you're not willing to change yourself, then I'm not sure if that's the solution to life's issues and questions and whatnot. Oh, I'm not checking the chat. Sorry, I'm not checking the chat to see if anyone's posted a question. Manipo Popile. Popil. Manio Popil. Hi, how are you? How are you? I'm just talking today about life experiences and how we can learn from one another. And if you'd like to share one life lesson that you have learned that's helped you in living the life that you live today, if you could type that into the chat box or the chat, then we can all learn from yours, Manio Popile. We can all learn from your life experiences. So just put that in the chat box. I'm really trying to encourage people to share, because I do believe that we're not an island. We can learn from each other. We can benefit and add value to each other's lives through sharing our life experiences. I mean, that's why people watch, not the reason why specifically, but people watch movies and are changed by movies, right? Because they've watched somebody go through something, they've picked up something in life, and it has changed their mindset. It has changed their view on something. People have been inspired to start careers as a result of watching a movie. People have decided to change the world because of watching a movie and seeing something that's happened, or watching the media. So there's no reason why we can't change the world through YouTube and sharing life together and experiences together. Now, I'm going to have 5 more minutes on here, and then I'm going to go and hang out with hubby, and we're going to watch a movie. So, Manio Popil, am I pronouncing your name properly? Oh, hello, Mr. Muzinguzi. Now you can hear my voice. Let me say it properly. Happy belated birthday, Mr. Muzinguzi. Happy belated birthday. We're just talking about life experiences and how we can learn and add value to each other's lives by going through other people's life experiences. So you've been through things in life, positive or negative, and as a result of you sharing those experiences, I can learn from that. So what I'd like you to do, Mr. Muzinguzi, is share with us what your key to life, or what your life something that you've learned in life that's helped you. And I'll just give you an example. MD90 said that he's learned that to culture is very I've learned culture is very diverse and it's always important to have an open mind. So, and we were talking about that for a while. And that is very, very true. So, what would you say, Mr. Muzinguzi? And please, everyone, check out that site because you'll learn so much about Uganda in such a cinematic way. So, what have you learned about life that has helped you be a better human being or a better person, or even just helped you generally in life? What have you learned from life? What has life taught you? And it's always good to take some time out because we all have busy lives, don't we? But taking some time out to stop and think about what we've learned in life, that's always good because then it helps us not to, or it helps us to repeat the successes of life. And then it also helps us not to repeat the negative experiences in life. But we can always learn from negative experiences. That's the key. It's always being willing to, because listen, look at this, right? If something so-called bad happens, right? You can't, and it's happened already, it's happened. You can't take it back, can you? We don't have time machines to go back and remove what it is that's happened that's bad. But what we can do is look at that life experience there was a negative experience and find a way to learn from it. Whether it's a case of doing things differently so that it doesn't happen again, or learning from it as to who we are as an individual because we've been through that. So acknowledging that we can't change it, but we can use it to grow in our personal development and in our being. We can use it in that way. That's always a good way to look at life. So Mr. Muzinguzi says, and this will be the last one that we'll take in, my attitude towards life in any situation defines the rate of progress. It could slow my progress or fasten my progress. That is so true. Because again, we would just, before you came in, I don't know if you had come in before that, but we're talking about how our attitude affects our behavior, which affects other people's attitudes, which affects their behavior. Now, if we just cut it in half and we look at our bit, our attitude affects our behavior, then what you've said is spot on in that your attitude towards life in any situation defines the rate of progress. So how you think about life, how you think about a particular situation, whether positively or negatively, will impact how you move forward. How you move forward, whether you choose to stand still because you're like, no, there's no way forward. Life is hopeless and I can't see past this. That's the attitude that you'd have. And as a result of that, you stay stationary or you stay stagnant in a place. Now, the same person could go through the same situation and be like, do you know what? I'm not going to be defeated by this. And I'm going to find a solution to the issue or a solution to the problem. And as a result of that attitude, they then move forward and move past that problem or that dilemma. So that is so true. My attitude towards life in any situation defines the rate of progress. It could slow my progress or fasten my progress and make my progress faster. Now, the question I have for you then, Mr. Muzinguzi, is how do you define progress in life? So what defines your progress? Because let me just throw a thought in there for you. What about if somebody, for example, is going through grief? So maybe they've lost a child or a loved one or something, or even they've lost an opportunity. Is their acknowledging of that loss and going through that process of grief, so having that moment of being still in a way, you know, of being in that melancholy, is that lack of progress or is that also progress, in your opinion? Because they're not necessarily sort of moving forward at a fast pace because they've slowed down and they're, you know, they're kind of in a state of melancholy, or they're in a state of self-reflection, looking at life. Where does this leave them now? You know, especially like, let's say, for example, if there's a couple that's been together for years and years and years, you know, and an older couple, they've been together for 50 years and they lose one person, you know, dies. And then that person is in a period of trying to figure it out. Would you say that they are not progressing? Or would that still count as progress? Is the question clear or is it a bit confusing? I know what I'm saying. I know what I mean. And anybody else can chip in as well. I've got 180 minutes left. Anybody else can chip in. So in summary, the question is, can being stagnant or being in the same situation in life still be progress? Or does progress always have to be a change, moving forward, a change, something happening, an active? Does progress always have to be active? I feel like I'm running a late night chat show, you know, like drive radio, like at 1 a.m. or something. You're driving from Scotland down to the south and you put the radio on and you have someone talking about these life issues. It might be something that I might actually do in the future because I really enjoy exploring the human nature and learning from others and their life experiences. So, like, two key things that I will be taking on and absorbing into some of the things that I already hold dear to me is what MD90 has said. I'll repeat that if you look up in the chat. That culture is very diverse and it's always important to have an open mind. And then Mr. Muzinguzi says that his attitude towards life in any situation defines the rate of progress, and it could slow down progress or fasten progress. And attitude, it begins in the mind, doesn't it? Your attitude begins in your mind, how you think about something. But how you think about something stems back to your values and your influences and your experiences. So some things we have to learn, some things we have to unlearn. And depending on where you are in life and how flexible you are, how fluid you are, it might be really difficult for people to unlearn things. And we shouldn't be so quick to judge when people can't change their mindset so easily. If you're the type of person that you're like, oh, I've learned something new and I can take that on board, and I'm quite happy to accept that as a new truth. If somebody is kind of really stuck in their ways, don't be so quick to judge them because they're not able to change their mindset as easily as you. Even that in itself, you should reflect on that. The fact that, well, why are you judging them that because they can't change their mindset as quickly as you? Not everyone is the same. And there's some things that people have gone through in life that means that their beliefs are really, really, really set in. And therefore, we can't just expect them to change overnight. So Mr. Musunguzi says, I think what happens in most situations relating to the loss of anything or someone, not losing hope is progress enough, even when there seems to be no physical or visible progress on the outside. Stellar point. Stellar point. Not losing hope. Not losing hope. So, and I think for some people, it's if they don't have the support network around them, people to speak to, they don't have other mechanisms to help them through that loss, then it can be quite easy to feel like there is no hope. So I guess the closing message for today is, if you do find that there is someone who is not in their own view making progress, because progress to you might not be progress to someone else might not be progress to you. But if you feel like there is someone who's stagnant and is sort of set and stuck in a particular position, especially because of loss, then try and be that person to show them that there is hope. Try and be that person to show them that there is someone out there that can see the potential that they have in life and is willing to listen, willing to share with them, and willing to not, I wouldn't say give them the hope, because really, we can't be the answers to everyone's problems, but really just to be that person that can give them that glimmer, that glimpse of hope. Well, thank you all for coming in and listening. And if you enjoyed our chat today, then do let me know if you'd like to have more of this type of discussion, because I love this kind of stuff. I'm the type of person that I don't, when I'm discussing with someone and I'm going back and forth, I don't argue. I don't see a discussion as argument, as a bad thing. Some people will be like, oh, but why are you trying to dig in and it's confrontational? But it's, to me, I'm actually not. It's about learning. It's about ripping off the layers, getting deep into a thought or a topic, reflecting on my own ways of doing things and values, and seeing how other people do it as well, so that you can pick up from that as well. But thank you very much. I am going to spend some time now with my lovely hubby and watch a movie while the kids are sleeping. And then I might do some editing as well later on in the evening. But thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for sharing. And if you are not on YouTube, you're just visiting, scroll up and down this chat and click on there are three buttons. If you go to someone's name, you'll see 3 buttons appear. Click on those 3 buttons, then you can go to channel. Check out the channels of the people in the chat, and then you can also connect with them as well, so that when they post videos and when they're doing things, you can learn about the different things that they're sharing. on their sites. So take care for now. And I will be coming in with another, what did I call this? Come and discuss life. With another come and discuss life tomorrow. So take care for now. Bye, everyone. I'll show you my face before I go. Because I know I put it on I know I put it on, what do you call it? I put it on just the voice. So let me just give you a wave before I go. Where is it? Bye. Wow, this camera image is not good at all. Good night.